program to bring you...
All right, everybody, my name is Kevin.
And I'm Joe.
And we are the Real Movie Guys, and welcome back to another episode of The Real Review, the series where we review and discuss all your favorite movies and series. On today's episode, we got a double feature for you today. We're taking a look at Daredevil, Born Again, episode 5 and 6. A day in the life of Matt Murdock, unexpectedly intense, forcing him to team up with a familiar face, and this is episode 6 with interest. It's a back-to-back review today, John. We got 2 episodes. We're going to start off with episode 6, and then we'll jump into episode 7. A little different format for you, kind of like what we did with the premiere. But let's just start with episode 6. So, thoughts are this. When I see 2 episodes thrown out together, I have 2 views on what could happen, right? First view is it's a premiere, so you want to give me a sample of what to expect. I think Disney's kind of been famous for that lately with a lot of their shows. Usually it's like a 2-episode premiere and then followed by the weekly release after that. And then there's the other instinct that I have when you release 2 episodes together, telling me one episode's not going to be too hot, and then you're going to either you're going to start off hot and end off kind of meh, or you're going to, be boring in the beginning and then end off on a hot streak. It's the latter this time. I was not really a huge fan of this episode 5 with interest. I felt like this was one of the more weaker episodes of the season, John. It didn't honestly do too much to me, and we'll talk more about why, but what are some of your initial thoughts on it?
Yeah, I wasn't coming into this. I thought exactly what you were thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And then as it started going on, I was like, yeah, this is how we're doing it. And then it made me understand why they were putting 2 out too.
Yeah.
I felt like the last couple episodes have all been slow, not much fighting, not much action, kind of just laid back in a way. And then that felt like if they just released this episode without the one after it,
right,
then definitely people would start complaining and tune out of this completely.
And it's funny because I don't know if this is necessarily a bad episode, right? I just think it's unnecessary and maybe misplaced overall. So the whole point of this episode, it's kind of self-contained, right? I think I would argue maybe even that. It's odd how it can kind of exist outside of the whole Daredevil narrative. And overall for the show, I think that's something important that we should talk about. But as far as it being its own thing, the show can exist in a vacuum by itself without anything else kind of going on. You can kind of just know that Matt Murdock, whether he is or isn't Daredevil, kind of isn't the question, right, in this episode. It's more about how Matt Murdock handles a situation, and in this case, he's trapped in a bank, and the episode's kind of fun, right? I think overall there is some fun things to it, where it's a typical bank heist movie, right? That's kind of what it's kind of copying here. These criminals break into a bank while Matt Murdock's there trying to get money for his firm, and it's pretty much him trying to stop the whole bank robbery without them knowing that he's Daredevil or he's a superhero, and kind of circumventing all the typical tropes and stuff like that to get to the end. And again, in a vacuum, that's fine, right? I think that episode is enjoyable and can be fine. The problem is where it's placed in the middle of your series, where we've been kind of slow building up into Matt Murdock becoming Daredevil again. I feel like it just throws it completely off pace. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Right, it just doesn't feel right, is what I'm getting at. I feel like we were building up for so long, and now we're just kind of it's almost like we just had a little roadblock, right? And this is just almost feels like a filler episode, I would argue.
It's almost like when you're watching, say you're watching a movie on YouTube or something, and
right,
there comes an ad in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like this was an ad or something, almost, in a way. And also, the one thing I keep seeing in this is they keep making these random ass blind jokes, to keep kind of hammering it home, okay, he's blind, we get it, but this one almost overdid it, where it was hold on, let me show you Miss Marvel.
So
you can't see that.
Yeah.
Oh, the green, you're not wearing green.
Right.
How many times do we have to mention this?
I'll give them props. It's a St. Patrick's Day episode, right? So that's kind of fun. It's nice to see a little St. Patrick's Day kind of holiday episode, I guess, if you would, in New York City, the most gleeful Irish city of them all, I would argue. It's kind of fun. Again, the idea is cool here. So I think one of the main things here too is I feel like this was a Disney interjecting into the show, right? This was almost kind of like Kevin Feige coming down and saying, "All right, guys, you're doing your own thing. I love it. I love your show. Looking great. By the way, I need you to kind of insert Miss Marvel into this show and her father and all these connections, maybe setting up something down the line. This kind of feels like the more typical Marvel stuff I think we've seen. Would you agree with that? That this is more related to some of the other setups that we've seen in other shows and whatnot?
Yeah, like they're trying to shoehorn different things in.
Right, and I don't like that, to be honest with you. I don't mind when it happens organically. The problem is this feels so inorganic, and I almost want to argue, and I have no basis for saying this really, but this feels like maybe the tone of the show prior to the reshoots, right? I could have seen this kind of episode because tonally it does feel kind of different too. It's a little more like laid back, a little more less stressful at times, I would even say. Just Matt Murdock feels like a different character almost a little bit in this episode where he's having a little too much fun. Don't get me wrong, there's a scene towards the end when he finally catches the bad guy and he just brutalizes his leg, and it was probably by far one of the grossest things I've ever seen in a Marvel show. But that being said, I think he feels different. Do you agree with that too, or what do you think?
No, yeah, 100% agree with you. I feel like, too, it's kind of like just weird. I don't like that they do this kind of stuff where, and Disney seems to do it a lot where they have a show, but they're always trying to get you to tune in for another show in a way. You know, like, oh, just wait till we hit what comes out next.
Yeah, and that's where the problem is, because I feel like this episode doesn't do that. This doesn't do any of that for me, to be honest with you. We had some slow pacing for sure, right? But now we're kind of roadblocked again with this episode, and it feels like they're taking away like what we've kind of built up, right? The dramatic, gritty feel of the show kind of was taken away briefly, and we have this just scene inserted, and again, it just feels raw. It just doesn't feel right. It feels like, again, this is just more Marvel stuff, setting up maybe stuff with like the Young Avengers, I guess. Maybe Matt Murdock's going to train the Young Avengers, setting up how he meets Kamala Khan in the future, or whatever. Again, it feels like Marvel setup, and it doesn't feel organic to the story. And that's kind of what bothers me about it. Again, is it a bad episode? Not really. I think it is maybe a little... Besides the tone, I think the pacing is frustrating for the episode. It kind of speeds up, then it's slow, and then some of the dialogue just feels wonky. It just doesn't feel like the rest of the show. And for me, I don't really want to spend too much time wasting on this episode because I don't think really it was that important, to be honest with you. And you could honestly just skip this episode and go right into the next one, and it would not affect the story whatsoever. And I don't like stuff like that sometimes, honestly. I know some people enjoy that and they like a little break from the main story. When we only have a certain amount of episodes here, I don't think I really want a break. I kind of want the main story just to continue through. And that's been some of the nagging problems I think we've had. And I'll talk about that when we get to the next episode. But as far as this episode, it's fine. We'll score it later when we get to the next one. But going on to the next episode, let's jump on to episode 6, Excessive Force. When a serial killer terrorizes the streets of New York City, the city needs a savior. All right, John, this is a little better. So we jumped into the next episode of Daredevil, and we went from maybe one of the weakest episodes in the series to by far one of the best episodes, I think, in the series. The story finally, it turned the knob, it turned on the heat, ignited everything. We have Daredevil finally making his grand appearance by the end of this episode. Wilson Fisk becoming the Kingpin, the action's in there, confronting the bad guy. Has some missteps, definitely for sure, but overall, really enjoyable episode. And again, I do see why they kind of compiled these 2 episodes together, because the last one was super weak, and if I had to wait a week to get to this one, I probably would have been a little frustrated.
No, yeah, definitely. I feel like this one was definitely got back to the old stuff that we wanted to actually see. The other episodes before this one, I feel like you could have replaced one of the other 3 with that one, and it would have been better. But this one definitely, that they feel like it's a great thing that they had this episode, because I feel like if they didn't, a lot of people would be tuning out of the show.
And I want to say this. So this feels like the natural continuation of things. This is finally the boiling point that we've been waiting for. Matt Murdock donning the Daredevil helm and becoming Daredevil, born again, essentially, if you will. And Wilson Fisk becoming the Kingpin. And 2 awesomely choreographed badass scenes showing these characters like really coming back into full existence. And even before that, I think we had some really good character development. We got to see, Matt Murdock still struggling to find the balance between being Matt Murdock and becoming eventual Daredevil, and Kingpin as well, struggling with the issues with his wife and being the mayor, and who they really need to be and who they actually are is like kind of the polar. They're opposites, but they're also the same. They can't ignore these naturalistic instincts, one to be the hero, one to be the villain, even blurring the lines in some spots, because there is definitely a shade of gray, I think, between both of these characters. But when you finally get that guttural release from both of them, it's awesome, right? Wilson Fisk, we see he has his wife Vanessa's lover still trapped in the basement. He goes down into the basement and he challenges him. He throws him a baseball bat, I think it is, right? I think it's a baseball bat. Or no, an axe. I'm sorry, even more badass. He throws him an axe and says, "A real man settles things with his hands." And he like lets him come out to try and escape, and he just beats the shit out of him and kills him. And it's like, whoa, okay. This is the Kingpin that's not joking around. And again, just like Daredevil has his own situation here, we also have Kingpin coming into his own, right? Realizing I can't just be the mayor. If I want to see change, I have to be the Kingpin. I have to do things my way. My way is the way that works. It's the most effective. And I think that's really enjoyable. And then Matt Murdock, on the other side, realizes the girl of White Tiger's niece, I believe, is kidnapped by Muse, who we get to see finally for the first time. And this episode does focus a little bit on him. And she's kidnapped by Muse, and he goes to rescue her, and he like takes out his rage and anger on Muse, saving the girl. And it's fulfilling, right? It just to see Matt Murdock be Daredevil again is absolutely fulfilling.
Yeah, definitely. I felt like that was what you wanted to see from Daredevil. Like, you want to see the badass action, the what he can do, not just like all this talk, but like more action.
Right, and also the scene where he actually becomes Daredevil, I think, is pretty cool, because it's all this like leading up to it. Like, oh man, it's like, how much more can he take? And he just goes, fuck it. He literally just says that. He throws on the suit and he goes and he just goes out there and is Daredevil again. And I do appreciate that. One of the things that I thought was interesting is we finally got Muse. Now, John, what do you think of Muse? Are you impressed by what you've seen? Do you like some of the narrative that we've seen with this character so far?
I think he's interesting. I think he's very unknown in a way.
Yeah.
But also like,
which is fine. Right?
Kind of cool.
So,
yeah.
But is that fine? So here's my other counterpart to that is, why aren't we spending more time with this character throughout the start of the season? We had like a brief glimpse of him here and there. Instead of like these BB reports that I know I keep like talking about it, but it keeps coming up. Instead of wasting time with that in that filler episode that we just had the last episode, wouldn't it have been better to get some more time with this Muse character or see like what's cooking under the hood? Because we're almost an exposition dump away at some point, right? For them just revealing the whole character's backstory in a large like 30 to 40 minute chunk, and that's what we're gonna get. They could have been spreading it out the whole season. Don't you agree? Because I know we've been seeing the tags and stuff like that, and maybe he's not the central point of the story, but I think I would have liked a lot more about this villain leading up to this point, because it almost feels like, oh, hey guys, here I am. I'm finally in the episode, and that's kind of what you get. And I feel like that's a little bit of a letdown to some extent. And again, he gets away at the end, so it's not the end of the character, but I think that's a problem. Would you agree with some of the issues we've had with this show?
Yeah, definitely.
Like, why aren't we getting more Muse? Because the essence of the character is really cool. He captures these murdered like 60 people, which is insane for a Marvel show who goes, usually in Marvel, no one's dying. This man murdered 60 people and uses their blood for all the graffiti that he prays on the walls and stuff like that. And I think that's really interesting and that's really cool. Again, the problem is I just wish we had more time, maybe some more scenes of him. Clearly, he is that one actor I think we deduced in episode 2 when we were talking about it, that Matt Murdock's girlfriend. So that's going to play a role at some point down the line, that we're going to see something with that. So I am curious to see how that folds out, especially after all this. But again, I just feel like I think I just wanted more, right? And again, maybe that's good in some ways, but I think it's also bad in some ways too, where we could have been developing this character and we're just kind of falling back on it, right?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like I don't know if they're going to give us more, but I really wish they would have already given us like even just a little bit more would have helped a lot.
Yeah, and you have to think too. There's only 3 episodes left in this show at this point, so that's kind of a problem, right? I mean, I know we're not done with the series. Obviously, they're already filming season 2 as we speak of Daredevil Born Again. But again, I kind of wish we had it now. Like I feel like there's just so many missteps, and maybe again that's something to do with the reshoots and the directions of the show and whatnot. And I'm glad for what we got, but it doesn't mean I can't criticize it for what it's not doing. And again, there's a lot of good things though too. So we got to acknowledge the action, the character development. What we did get is good, but maybe I'm just greedy. I just want a lot more. But I think we've talked enough about this show, John. Let's go shoot into our final scores. I'm gonna give Daredevil Born Again episode 5 with interest a 6 out of 10. In a vacuum, like I said, it's a fine episode. You can really watch it without watching the rest of the series. It's almost kind of like just a cheeky introduction to Daredevil with some fun callbacks to, oh, what kind of lawyer are you? I'm a really good lawyer, and stuff like that. The jokes we've heard before. It almost feels like just like an introduction episode you would show someone of Daredevil, maybe to get them into the series or whatever. And it also just feels like another backdoor pilot to another Marvel project that either will come into existence or won't come into existence, depending on our grand overlords at Disney over there and what they want to do with the franchise. But as it stands, it's fine. You could really just skip it and it wouldn't change anything. But if you want to have a little bit of fun with the character, and again, the gruesome scene at the end where he finally catches the bad guy and just kind of lets him have it, it's really good. I think you'll enjoy it that way. But overall, this is about a 6 for me. I could say it could have definitely been better, and I probably could have done without it, to be honestly. But again, my personal opinion. We'll go into the next one. I'm going to give Daredevil Born Again episode 6, Excessive Force, a 9 out of 10. I think this is a really good episode. We finally got Daredevil dawning the horned hero that we know he is. We get to see the Kingpin being the full bad guy once again. The characters are at their peak once again. They return to their original alter egos. Daredevil's born again. Made the joke twice in one video. You gotta appreciate that. I think this is good. I think we're in a good direction now. I'm really excited to see where the show goes now that we finally have our hero back, and maybe a somewhat of a status quo is returning with his character, and what that's going to lead to with all these character dynamics and all these moving pieces. Do I think we wish we got more of Muse in the beginning? Yeah, but there's still time. Again, 3 episodes left, so you got some time to kind of make me come around to that. But I think you could have just rearranged the episode. And again, it's just one of those things that holds the show back overall that I think could have been fixed. But overall, really good episode, really enjoyable. John, how about you? What do you think of these, man? Why don't you start with episode 5?
I actually completely agree with you with episode 5 as giving it a 6 out of 10. I feel like it wasn't the worst episode I've seen, but it definitely seemed like it didn't belong where it was. So I felt like it was okay, but I thought like it definitely could have been a lot better. Episode 6, I'd give it a 9 out of 10, just like you. I feel like that's what we really want to see. That's what we're hoping for the rest of the season, and I'm hoping that at least this would have helped people stay in to watch this show, so that at least they can continue out to make this show better.
Yeah, I mean, the series has got a lot of pokers in the fire right now. We got characters like the Punisher still lingering out there. This whole task force, we didn't really go too much into that with the police who donned the Punisher mock gear, and they're kind of like dirty cops, and they're kind of out there hunting Muse and the vigilantes, as it would, like Kingpin wants. Again, a lot of really exciting, cool things that happened in this episode. It just kind of sucks it got let down by that previous episode, Again, I understand the fun of it, but tonally, guys, you got to like figure out what you're doing there. That's kind of a mess. I hope that doesn't happen again, and I don't think it will. I think we've kind of jumped beyond the hoop. I think they kind of know where they're going with the rest of the show, but what a little dance we had there. I did not appreciate it. But what I need to know down in the comments below is, what did you guys think of these 2 episodes? Did you enjoy episode 5? Did you enjoy episode 6? Some of the roundups I've seen a lot of the Daredevil fans really enjoying episode 5, and I can appreciate that. I definitely can understand your enjoyment of it. It wasn't maybe the Daredevil show I was looking for, and maybe that was the other one that's kind of hidden behind there. But I want to know what you guys think. Did you like the epic reveal in episode 7? Daredevil running down the train tracks, glowing eyes red, and then tackling Muse with like awesome, and the Daredevil theme blaring in this. Oh, loved it. Absolutely loved it. I need to know what you guys think, though. Make sure you like and subscribe. We are The Real Movie Guys. My name is Kevin. That guy's John. We'll see you guys in the next video.
If you guys like what you've seen here today, consider giving this video a like and leaving your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to stay up to date with everything Real Movie Guys related, make sure to hit that subscribe button and check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And don't forget, all you audio listeners at home, we are available on many podcasting platforms. Just search The Real Movie Guys, you should pop right up. Thank you again all so much for joining us on this episode of The Real Review. We are The Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. Catch you next time.